Hello everyone, so in this video I'll be explaining how you can deploy Sparkflows on Azure Kubernetes Service. So we will be using Helm chart for the deployment, and first we'll go through the values YAML to give you a high level of different components that is going to be involved as part of the deployment. So over here you can see that you can always have a replica count more than one to have high availability. You can specify the image and the version of the image. And apart from that, we use Nginx as the load balancer when deploying the service. So this is the reason why we have enabled Nginx. We also specify the affinity and session cookie name. Otherwise, the session is going to be invalidated every time someone accesses the website. We have the host routing rules configured over here. For example, we are using cloud.acme.ai, and then you can also see that we are using TLS certificate. The TLS certificate that we have created for this particular example is using the Let's Encrypt free certificate. Once you have created the Let's Encrypt certificate, you can always go ahead and create the certificate and give it a name. Let's say Sparkflows TLS certificate. And you can also use cert manager, but over here we have disabled it. But yeah, you also have the option to use this cert manager also. And now there's going to be two different pods that would be running. One is the Sparkflows, which requires a lot of memory and CPU resources, and the second is the DIN, which is a Docker inside Docker. This is going to be responsible for deploying, creating the images for the Kubeflow and deploying on the Kubeflow. So if you have such requirements for deploying models, then this is really going to be handy. Now let's go to the deployment YAML. Over here you can see that we have a very basic set of configurations. We have a bunch of secrets which is specific to the application. For example, we have secrets pertaining to the application configurations, which we capture in this particular secret. Apart from that, we also have the Sparkflows DB secret, which has credentials and the host information about the MySQL or Postgres database. For example, over here we have MySQL as the database that is going to be storing all the metadata for the Sparkflows. Apart from that, we also have the Docker cert part. This is really crucial because we are using Docker commands inside the Sparkflows pod for creating the image and also pushing the image to some registry. We also have a configuration which is called a Spark operator enabled. If this particular setting is enabled, then behind the scene, whenever you submit a job or workflow in the Sparkflows, it is going to use the Spark operator that has been installed in the Azure Kubernetes Service. So in your Azure Kubernetes Service, you must install the Spark operator. And then all the usual things have been configured, like the ports, the liveness probe, and the readiness probe. Let's quickly go to the Ingress. Over here, the Ingress is configured for the Nginx specifically because we are using Nginx. So in your cluster, you make sure that you have installed the Nginx Ingress controller. Next comes the service, which has the usual port binding. And we also have the Sparkflows RBAC configured because for fetching the logs of the Spark, we need this particular pod to have all set of administration permissions for fetching the logs and watching the pods. So here you can see which all resources it needs to have access to. So because the Spark applications are going to be triggered using the Spark operator, that's why we have configured the Spark operator.kts.io for the API group. Finally, we have the chart YAML where you can configure the name and description and other metadata about the chart.